Well, today I've got a pretty busy day lined up. I'm going to bring you along for the journey, and while we're working, I'll break down how much money I've made after moving to North Texas and starting a window cleaning business. Again, my name is Ben. I own Blue Ladder, and this is my third window cleaning business that I've launched. Today we've got a window cleaning job and gutter cleaning. So we do inside windows, outside windows. There's no screens, no track cleaning. This is actually a quarterly account. Shouldn't be too much of a job. We'll be here for about 6-7 hours and finish up. Every once in a while, I get asked the question about how much money I make as a window cleaner. And I guess it kind of changes. It's a seasonal business, so there's definitely ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And it changes as you grow as well. So I've been cleaning windows for over a decade. But I started my business here in Texas not too long ago. In fact, we're right about at the 4-year mark. I moved to Texas in the middle of the pandemic from New York City. So needless to say, it was a bit of a turbulent time to be moving and especially launching a new business. I know the business that I sold had a very good year that year. Things just kept getting busier and busier as the days progressed. But starting a new company in the middle of all that change was a little bit of a challenge. So I had a turbulent start, but things are really starting to kind of fall into place. I kind of had high hopes when I moved to Texas, thinking it'd be easy to get started. And, I do have a bit of experience. It was my third time launching a business specifically for window cleaning. So I was thinking I had things kind of figured out, but with so much in the world changing, plus going to a brand new state, completely different demographic, I had to dial in a lot of things on my marketing before I could actually get any results. So my very first postcard campaign was actually a complete dud. I literally didn't get any calls for the first couple weeks. I finally got a couple of calls from that initial round of postcards, but it took a while. I had to switch up a lot of the messaging and started to realize that the type of people that I was actually marketing to in Texas were completely different than the type of people I was targeting when I was in New York City. So I had to pivot and make adjustments, but if you stay consistent, you stay persistent, you'll be able to figure things out too, and it's just one step at a time. But anyways, we had moved to Texas in September of that year, and I had a lot of things I had to do before I could even start marketing. So I didn't launch anything in the business until at least October. So I really started doing work as Christmas light installation in November. And that went pretty well, but a lot of my upfront costs was higher since I had to buy a lot of inventory for Christmas lights and pay for the marketing as well. So it was a bit of a wash. I didn't lose money, but it wasn't making as much money as I needed to get through the entire winter without having any income. So I literally went through almost all of my savings from selling my business in New York City just to get started. I had ordered all the marketing materials I needed to get in the spring, and so I pretty much just had to hold my breath and wait for the next year. And that's when things got even more scary. So I did my first postcard, and it was one of those, like a photo of a house with all the different parts of the house that could be cleaned, offering every single service I could. And as I said earlier, that almost turned out to be a complete dud. So as I invested my time, did more research, figuring out where to focus on, I started finding those little pockets of communities where I could really dig into and kind of make into a gold mine. And I changed a little bit of my messaging and also started doing Google ads, and leads started coming in. It's just that I had already dug such a deep hole trying to get things established that now I was just trying to fill in that hole and start building something on top. So my entire first year of business, I probably made about $70,000, but I had to spend a lot of money just to survive, just paying rent, utilities, all the basics and things that you normally need. One of the biggest rules of starting a new business is to be as lean as you can. I have a wife and 4 kids at the time. Now I have 6. So I was literally eating all the seed. If you think about your cash as seeds, it's like you can grind that seed up and make some bread out of it and eat it, but then it's gone forever. So you always want to take as much of that as you can to plant it back into the ground so you get more back in return. and you're going to keep having bread in the future. So if you're young and able to live with your parents or whatever, don't be ashamed of that. Just go ahead and make as much money as you can and reinvest it back into the business. But if you're in a situation like me, you just kind of have to dig down and rely on grit just to make ends meet and get through. Don't give up though. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, I can guarantee you. It just might take a little longer to get to the end of the tunnel. Anyways, I kept making tweaks to my marketing, getting things better, more refined, and as things progressed, I was getting more income, it was becoming more consistent. I just had to learn the new weather patterns. There's, ebbs and flows in any market, the busy times, the slow times, the rich times, and the lean times. But I kept tracking everything as meticulously as I could, and eventually I found my stride. I'm up on the roof now, and
we had rain this week, so these gutters are a little bit nasty. So it's gonna be a little bit messy. If I was just cleaning the gutters, I'd probably have to hand scoop everything, but since I'm cleaning the windows too, if any dirt gets anywhere, I can scrub it off with the water fed pole. So here we go. So speaking of rain and weather patterns and the pulse of everything, I also had to figure out what services stuck. I came out expecting to do a lot of pressure washing, and while that is a very lucrative service out here still, the overall drier climate makes it so that people don't need their driveways pressure washed or their houses pressure washed as often. So add-on services can kind of vary from place to place, and I had to figure out which ones I wanted to focus on, which ones I enjoyed doing more and wanted to grow. All right, finish up with that. Just gonna blow off the concrete, make sure everything's on. Anyways, with all that said, I'll kind of get into the nitty gritty. Like I said before, the initial season that I arrived, I just did Christmas lights, and that's a fantastic add-on. But if I kind of zoom out a little bit and just look at the whole calendar year following that, the year 2021, my total income or revenue was about $82,000. Now that winter season leading up to it, I invested in a lot of equipment and different marketing materials and just kind of wasted money on some marketing tactics. But all said and done, I was probably on a net loss for the year. But if you're starting from scratch, that's a very achievable revenue number to get. And really, you can get that volume of work without having too high of expenditures. And if you keep things a little bit more lean than I did, you can be making great money in year one. So in year two, that would be the year of 2022, I boosted that up another $30,000 or so. I made $112,000. Again, I had some marketing expenses, some operational stuff, paying for my CRM, jobber, and responsible for estimating a call service to answer phone calls. There were some expenses that brought that number a little bit lower as far as profitability went. So I think as far as taxes went, Uncle Sam calculated my income at around $65,000. Now, year three, I had another little jump. I wasn't growing as fast now because I couldn't spend as much time on doing the marketing. I actually had to do all the work, and I had a lot of things going on at home, so I didn't want to hire an employee. I chose to just stay at it alone. That's up to you. You can definitely grow faster than me and double or even go a faster rate. It just takes a little more intentional energy of hiring somebody and scaling things out. Sometimes you just got to take a minute to slow down and enjoy the scenery. We work on some nice houses, and you'd be a fool not to take advantage of it. Check out this cool koi pond. I haven't seen many that are as exciting as this one. So this part, maybe not so amazing. Pretty cool. But then you've got this whole creek. Goes all the way up. This is in the back of the property. On the other side of that gazebo is cool. Waterfall's not working right now, but when it ends, it's pretty epic. So like I said, at this point in the business, I was just trying to maximize each day and make as much money as I could working solo. I think my busiest days, I was able to bring in around $1,200 or so. And that definitely helps when you can stockpile, make hay while the sun shines. And then when the times go a little slower, you have that extra little bit of cash to hedge you in and get you through the drought. Working in good company today. How you doing, Tommy? See ya. Yeah, that old Tommy, he's my bookkeeper. He said I made a little over $150,000 in revenue, including tips, which was another 10 grand. Nice bonus. But then after expenses and any write-off I could possibly get, the IRS says my income was about $90,000. I'm in my fourth year, and things are definitely looking up, still climbing at the same rate. It's looking like I might hit $170,000, which is really good working solo. I max out at about $20,000 in a month, and obviously peak summer and winter is a little slower. But hey, comment below if you have any questions, and also like, subscribe, follow me for the journey, and if you want to start a window cleaning company, let's do this together.